Hey Adam.
Hey,
I've been thinking about this Doctor Who Sarah Jane review. I'm not really feeling it. I think we should just give it a miss and just go to the pub instead.
what are you talking about? You never miss a review. Come on, you'll feel much better about yourself once you've done it.
Nah, mate, honestly, the review can wait. Let's just go on the lash. Come on.
You know what, Zach? You're right. Maybe I've been working you a bit too hard, you know? But I still think we should do the review first.
You think we should do the review first?
I do.
Let's do that.
Yes, let's do that. Let's do that.
Just realised the review's this way.
Hi. Hi.
How you doing?
Not too bad, how are you?
I'm okay. Welcome to the Reviewing Space, everyone. This is the first review in this new location. It's not new for you, but
No.
it's new for the series. We're actually filming in Adam's gaff, and it's the first one. But also, it's the first time we're reviewing a Sarah Jane episode.
Unbelievable.
It has taken a very long time to get this to happen, but we picked a very good one to start with.
Mm-hmm.
And it is the Curse of Clyde. No, it's fucking.
Seriously, you had one job.
It is.
The Mark of the Berserker.
Hey, it's Mark of the Berserker. Okay, guys,
Oh.
listen here. Okay, I got it first time. It's crazy that it's taken me this long to review a Sarah Jane episode because
You'd rather go through class. before this.
Hey, listen. Okay, I don't like being called out that way. Okay, I reviewed the class episodes as they came out weekly. When they came out, it wasn't by choice.
Oh,
I was
gosh.
obliged to because the channel was exclusively Doctor Who at the time, and I felt a need to keep up with the episodes that were releasing because this was 2016, and that's when Doctor Who wasn't releasing because it was the intermission year when Capaldi's episodes weren't coming out. So I felt the need to
Sarah
review
Jane
Class.
Smith. Come on.
So anyway, we're reviewing Sarah Jane Adventures today, and not Class, thank God. And we're, like I say, reviewing Mark of the Berserker, one of the very best episodes. This spurred on because I decided to go on a mini binge, cherry picking the very best of Sarah Jane. And there isn't any dreadful episodes of Sarah Jane, but I picked like The Curse of Clyde Langer, which I accidentally mentioned earlier. The Lost Boy, like I say, Mark of the Berserker, of Secrets of the Vaults, like Prisoner of the Jadoon,
Nightmare Man.
Nightmare Man, Whatever Happened to Sarah Jane, Temptation of Sarah Jane, Wedding of Sarah Jane, and Death of the Doctor, etc. All sorts of bangers in this show. But we decided to start with Mark of the Berserker. I decided that because it was, I believe, the first episode of Sarah Jane that I watched as they were coming out. And it's a very vivid memory of me catching the first episode on CBBC of like that cold open in part 1 where Rani sees that schoolboy like in the boys' bathroom like shouting at the pendant and then throwing it off. Do you remember that at the start? I was like, oh, what's this? This looks really cool. This looks edgy and weird for like CBBC. So I watched it and I fucking loved it. And it took me a second to realise that it's part of the Doctor Who universe. But yeah, it was sick. And yeah, I watched it all the way through originally. It was great, and I've watched it a lot since, and I'm very, very fond of it. But yeah. What do you think?
I think it was pretty good. I started watching that kind of stuff a little later. For me, I didn't actually know about the Sarah Jane Adventures properly until Death of the Doctor with the 11th and
Really?
Yeah.
That's like series 4.
I know. It was just one of these things where I saw clips of Sarah Jane working on these other kind of aliens, and I kept thinking to myself, it's probably just a part of Doctor Who I haven't seen yet. Turns out it was a whole full-fledged series. But yeah, so that was my kind of introduction to the adventures, and I didn't actually know about the Berserker one until a few years even after that.
Wow.
Because I've never actually gone through and sat the whole series in the right order. I've seen episodes kind of out of sync. So Death of the Doctor was my first proper Sarah Jane. I saw the Wedding of Sarah Jane. I saw
because David Tennant.
Yeah, David Tennant. I saw Nightmare Man. I saw
so
The
good,
Gift.
The Nightmare Man.
Yeah, and yeah, so hopping between episodes. But this is one of them where I just love the premise of it with this pendant.
It's so good. I like the more low-key episodes of Sarah Jane more. I like that I mean, obviously the grandiose, cool, creepy ones like Nightmare Man also are excellent.
Yeah.
But I like ones like this, and also, like I say, Curse of Clyde Langer, because they feel very grounded. They don't feel so out of the realm of possibility that they couldn't happen in real life. They're we don't see any big bog-eyed monsters in this.
No.
You know, all you see is just Clyde's dad getting possessed by the pendant, and that's kind of it. And that's all you need. It's got real good character work. For like a kid's show where you'd think the writing wouldn't be up to snuff with like Doctor Who.
No. It's a very domestic version of Doctor Who. It doesn't need to do that much because it feels more like it's going to happen in your neighbourhood, so it doesn't need to be the whole end of the world.
It's kitchen sink Doctor Who.
It does what it needs to do, and it's perfect.
And strangely, I think that Mark of the Berserker is the only episode of Sarah Jane where all of the lead cast are in the same episode, because Maria doesn't return after this.
No, yeah.
She doesn't. But Maria isn't in any, or Rani isn't in any of the Maria episodes. This is the only time when Maria and Rani share the same episode in sort of screen time. But it's also one of like the few like episodes where Sarah Jane doesn't play an active role in the story till the end.
Yeah.
She's mostly absent, which needs to happen for the story, for the plot to unfold the way it does, because if she would be there, she wouldn't even have let Clyde and his dad in her attic.
No.
For the sequence of events to unfold. But what I like is that all the characters they do use do have a big part to play in the story, I feel. I mean, less so. I mean, maybe Rani and Luke kind of share the same arc in this episode. But in principle, this is an episode about Clyde and his need to prove himself to his absent father. And I think underneath all of like the sci-fi explanations of it's a berserker alien that's possessing his dad, I think it's a really like grounded story. I think that it's really personal. A lot of people could probably relate to a story like this, and I think it's good that kids watching CBBC was exposed to this sort of very mature, but like very I don't know what the right word is for it, but
relatable almost.
Relatable, but also it teaches kids that you don't owe anything to any parents that don't that weren't there for you. You know what I mean?
I mean, they can do whatever they want. They'll choose to stay. They may choose to go. They may come back at a later time, but ultimately they don't define you. It's not their staying with you or their abandonment. It's not that makes you you. You're still going to be your own person growing up. Your decisions are all that. And for Clyde to be the person that he is, and then to even mature even more
at the end of the episode, he basically
strength for Clyde.
Realizes he doesn't need his dad. He never has.
No,
he grew up fine without him. And it's a great episode for him because it really does flesh him out. I think Clyde, not Clive. Clyde is like the best character of Sarah Jane besides Sarah Jane herself.
Well, I mean,
obviously
we'll all say that Sarah Jane is the best, but
Clyde, I think Clyde is a brilliant, because he seems on the surface like a comic relief character, but then you do get episodes like this where you truly get to explore him and really because I think this is the first one where we get like a full episode of him carrying the story. I think because this is series 2. I don't think there was much in series 1 that had him on his own. No. Besides that, the Lost Boy when he was trying to get Luke back. That's really it.
But then that was still more a premise of finding Luke.
It was way more Luke centric, that one. Whereas this one is very much Clive's Clive. I keep saying Clive. Clyde's big episode where we explore his feelings towards his parents and also his feelings towards
his friends.
Because he really looks up to them, and then at the end he realizes, I have these guys.
And I still think as well that to jump the gun straight to the end, but you never quite. Me personally, I'll never know or be in that kind of experience where you got to send your dad away. But he could have either completely forgiven him, completely run away from him, or the way that Clyde handles
Clyde could have used the pendant to make his mum and dad love each other again, and then there would have been a family again. Yeah, because it's what he wanted, but he knew that it wouldn't have been real, and that was another great lesson for him to learn.
Yeah, and then to see that his dad's worried about the same things over and over again, and then he's trying to pass that advice of just, you shouldn't keep running. You need to stand up and face it. You need to be the man you're saying you want to be. Yeah, just do it.
He's trying to look cool in front of his dad, but his dad seems to be trying to prove himself to his son that he feels guilty that he let down for all those years as well. So it's cool to look at, Clyde and his dad are kind of trying to do the same thing, and it's a very self-destructive thing that they're both doing. They're both trying to prove themselves to the other person. Yeah. Not Clive not realising.
Keep a tally up here for how many times he says Clive.
Hey, you've slipped once or twice. He's trying to prove himself to his dad, but his dad is equally trying to prove himself to his son that he feels guilty, that he feels like he let him down.
Yeah.
So I think the first episode is a bit of a slow burn, potentially, but I think that it all does lead really well to, yes, not like the most glamorous of cliffhangers, but it's like more of a personal moment because his dad has basically claimed ownership over Clyde. He said Clive again, and basically you don't need them, you only need me, which is a very possessive thing to do.
Kind of preparing him for that single track mind. He needs nothing else. He's going to be a soldier. He shouldn't have distractions.
And that's what the Berserker thing comes in, where the Berserker needs soldiers for war. It's a bit of a nothing cliffhanger, but the moment that stands out is that he's forgotten them. Oh no! But because he didn't tell Clyde to forget about Sarah Jane, that leads to the conclusion being quite well thought out, because how could Clyde's dad know about Sarah Jane, right? So it's not like he's going to make Clyde forget about someone he doesn't know about. I do like the inclusion of Maria and Maria's dad. It was nice to see them again, to be honest with you, because they were a big highlight for me of the first series of Sarah Jane. The bit when I was watching this when I was younger, like really young, it did actually creep me out a bit when Rani and Luke were on the Skype call with Maria and Maria's dad, where they were basically explaining what happens to people who wear the pendant too long, and it explains of like madness, derangeness, and like it basically turns people into like feral creatures or whatever. And I just really like the because they never show anything explicitly creepy, but it's just like how they describe it. It gave me the heebie-jeebies when I was a kid. A bit of comedic relief with Rani's dad just doing push-ups the entire episode.
Funny to think that even though it's still a two-parter, all of this basically happened in the span of one afternoon.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, it does look good, doesn't it?
Because they run away from the house, they steal the car, they go to the pier, then they correct it.
Yeah, well, no, part one is the day before, though. True. Partially the day before. And one bit I do really think they always got right is like the kids actually, like, you know how TV shows now make kids either tremendously stupid or like tremendously like smart.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas in this show, I think they've mostly always got that right to an extent. With Luke, it's a different story because he is a child genius. The Clyde and Luke dynamic really fucking like. I think they really complement each other because Clyde is the class clown of the school, and meanwhile Luke is the swot, right?
I think he's also the
having those two paired together. Yeah, having those two paired together really fits. And nothing accentuates that more than like the sleepover bit at the start of part one, where Sarah Jane goes away and drops Luke off at Clyde's to stay the night or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So, and it was just nice to have Luke and Clyde just banter. It's just a comment on the show overall, is that I think they just kind of got the cast nailed pretty well.
I mean, obviously you have the setup that the dad's someone who wasn't there for Clyde, and then he's kind of in a quick rush to get everything fixed up with him, and then you find out at the end he's run away from another pregnancy.
Yeah, that was a good bit at the end. I forgot about that.
And it's like, is this a man who's just in a self-destructive cycle? Is he just someone who can't handle commitment? But you never feel... I mean, yeah, you can feel let down by him, but you never feel like you're going to hate him.
No, I feel like he's not a bad guy, is he? He's treated as the antagonist in the story, but that's only when under the spell of the pendant. Yeah, it just feels like a really grounded story, and with a few sci-fi elements sprinkled in to pull the story along to raise the stakes a bit.
Yeah,
I think it's really good. I don't really have any notes about it. I think the only thing is that before Clyde's dad shows up in part one, the episode feels a bit directionless. It feels a bit like, where's this going? Let's get to the point of why this episode is happening.
Yeah.
Let's get to the main meat of the story. But besides that, I really enjoy it. I think the cast are all on top form for what they can do at this stage, and
I think
the absence of Sarah Jane, I think, raises the stakes as well, because if Sarah Jane was here, she could just flash her lipstick and then boom, I think the monster's gone, right? That's kind of so having her gone makes the story, I think it does make it more exciting in some ways, because you don't have this person that is always there to save the day.
Yeah,
it's up to the people that she left there, up to Clyde really.
Yeah,
on his own, because everyone else, his dad's made him forget.
I think the character's good, the premise of the creature is good, the pendant, the berserker, and all that.
Yeah.
I would say mine, and I know this is going to sound a bit harsh because this is deliberately meant to be for younger audiences than even Doctor Who was.
Yeah.
But even though the plot and the story are good, the script and the pacing still feels a bit quick. Not rushed, just
I think
quick.
what it is that part 2 is rushed, and I think that part 1 is a bit sluggish. I think it's the fact that part 1's pacing is a bit, and then part 2 is like, oh, Clyde and Dad, off they go, then they get to the pier.
You're coming back here. Now we've got to resolve this. We're mature. We know we can't handle each other. We like each other, but we can't. I ran away from this. No, you shouldn't run away from this. You're right. I won't run away from this. And it's not that the characters did anything wrong. Nobody handled things badly. It's just it needed another. It
needed a bit more time.
It needed a beat. That's what it needed.
I think the thing is that with some of these Sarah Jane, not all of them, but let's just say with all of the Sarah Jane as a show, comparing it to other kids shows, it is S tier plus.
Absolutely.
Compared to most other kids TV, Sarah Jane Adventures is like one of the fucking best I've ever seen of like kids telly. But the thing is that there are some Sarah Jane episodes that I think genuinely can be compared against like the highest quality of like Doctor Who, Torchwood. You know,
I think
like this one, for example, I feel like it's up to snuff with some of the very best of what the main Doctor Who show has to offer. But comparing it to a general episode of television and a general episode of the Doctor Who universe, I would rate this a 9 out of 10.
I can understand that.
But like I said, comparing it to other kids TV and other Sarah Jane, 11 for me. 10 or 11 for this. But that's my rating, because I think there's two ways to view this episode, right? As how you'd view the rest of Doctor Who, but also how you'd rate it based on the target audience it has, right? So it's interesting rating Sarah Jane, but that's where I stand with this one. I think it's great.
Yeah, I would say I'm gonna give it 9. I'll give it a good 9 overall. A good premise, decent character. Well, not just decent, brilliant characters. Lovely piece for the pendant and the backstory behind it. It's just
also a shout out to Unit. There was a name drop of Unit in this story. It's just nice with Sarah Jane how like connected the Doctor Who worlds felt at that time with Torchwood, Unit, Sarah Jane, Doctor Who.
Doctor Who did its spin-offs very well.
Oh yeah, they really did back in Anyway, we'll wrap it up here. That's how we feel about the Mark of the Berserker. I nearly said Curse of Clyde Lanner for the 10th time and nearly said Clive again. Thank you very much for watching this review. Hopefully more Sarah Jane in the future, but we'll have to see. Thanks for watching.
And just so you guys know, you're coming to watch more episodes.
Yes, you are. And so am I, apparently.
You're getting me a drink.
I'm getting you a drink?
Yes.
Here's your drink, man.
Good man. You see, guys? It fucking works. Oh, it went on my nose!
It's fizzy as well. What did you do that for?
Cut the camera!
No.
Cut the fucking
camera! Yes, of course. I will cut the... You will cut the camera.
Sorry, guys. Bye.